So what we're going to do now is we're going to look in a little more detail at the actual curriculum materials. So you had an opportunity, some of you anyway, to access some of the different materials. But for the rest of the session, we're going to focus just on Learning Plan 1 and look at that one in a little bit more detail. So what I'm going to do is we're going to kind of talk through the kinds of documents that are and materials that are in here and talk about each one a little bit more. So back in Podio, I'm in the land access training. I'm in Learning Plan 1, and you can see a whole collection of materials that you can download and then use to prepare for training. So we have our teaching plan, our student learning plan. Usually they're set up in the same order to kind of, so things are available to you as you prepare, the storyboard, the resource list, and then you start to get into the materials that actually support the activities, the worksheets, the info sheets, and then ultimately their application activity assessment type thing, okay? I have some of these already downloaded to my computer, so I'm going to bring them up. The student learning plan. So this is what the student learning plan looks like for Learning Plan 1. Again, similar format throughout the curriculum. There's a workshop description, what they need to bring to the workshop. Sometimes they need to bring something from a previous lesson or some information. So there's information about that. You have your competencies, your performance standard, or your learning objectives, and then those, we call them important assignments. Those are those key things that they finish up with at the end. And then the learning activities that are set up through the learning cycle. At the end, there's some next steps. The idea is that potentially the training could be set up as a series of workshops that they go through. So it's setting them up for where they might go next. You might need to modify these depending on the structure of your training programs. The teaching plan is, now you've had an opportunity to look at several of these, but again, it's building off of the student learning plan, but a lot of information for you, the trainer, and how to prepare. Now, as we've said, the idea is that you may need to modify these things, particularly if you might decide you're combining a couple of sessions together. You might be, not have as much time. You may need to break it into 2 parts. So this is the teaching plan for you to start with, and then you can modify it as you need to. You can look in that training, then the training manual for different activities, ideas that are different ways of doing it. And we'll talk more about that in a minute as far as how you would modify things. The resource list is, I think I showed you a screenshot of one of these in the PowerPoint, but great resources for you to get some more background on these different areas that the lessons are focusing on. Maybe additional information that you might want to pull in about your local situation, things like that. So really good resources for you. And then there is the storyboard. Now, we called it a storyboard because the idea is that this is a place for you to start, and then you're going to build on this, and you're going to add things that will tailor it to the needs of your local population. But there is a lot of information and material to work with in here. You can see I've got it in the notes view. So for all of the slides, there's presentation notes, which can be really helpful as you're preparing and delivering the presentation. There's also sometimes additional information or links to other resources. So these storyboards are really valuable to you as you prepare to train. But the idea is that you're going to want to customize them to your needs and the needs of your participants. So those are great resources. And then an example of the, what else do I have here? Okay. So this is the application activity, or the important activity at the end of Learning Plan 1, and it's a land tenure readiness self-assessment worksheet. So you can see how it kind of pulls together everything that they've been doing in the lesson. They've talked about personal goals, business goals. They're starting to pull that together and actually think about whether they're ready to move ahead with land access or not. So that would be the idea of that activity. Then we're going to move on to the next phase of the training, which is to talk more about the planning for training and planning for engagement.